What if the best single player story of the last decade also asked for more of your time than almost anything else on this channel? I've put real hours into Red Dead Redemption 2, and I've got an honest verdict on whether it's still worth carving out that time in 2026. And let's get into it. What is up, everybody? F5 Dad here. And yes, I'm talking to you while the family still sleeps. And if you're a busy gamer like myself and you're looking for only single player games that you can sink your teeth into, subscribe to the channel if you're not already. Also, ring the bell and let's talk about some Red Dead Redemption 2. So, when you think about RDR2, here's the pitch. You're going to play Arthur Morgan, a member of an outlaw gang in the fading days of the American frontier. And the game's going to drop you into one of the most detailed, live in open worlds ever built. This isn't just a big map with icons scattered across it. Towns are going to feel generally distinct from each other. Weather and seasons shift naturally. Wildlife behaves like actual wildlife rather than scripted set dressing. And NPCs are going to go about routines that make the whole world feel like it exists, whether or not you're standing in front of it. The scope here is pretty massive. A main story that's going to run you somewhere into the 50 to 60-hour range if you're playing it at a reasonable pace, and considerably more if you chase side content, hunting challenges, or just want to fully explore every corner of the map. This is, without question, the single biggest time commitment I've covered on this channel so far. And when you think about the map itself, it does span multiple genuinely distinct biomes: snowy mountains, swamplands, open plains, dense forests, dusty desert towns, and each region has its own visual identity and its own wildlife roster. Riding from one end of the map to the other isn't a quick trip either, which sounds like it could be tedious, but the game uses that travel time so well through incidental encounters and pure environmental beauty that it rarely feels like wasted time. And when we break down the core loop, the moment to moment gameplay blends story missions, open world exploration, and a genuinely unique camp system that ties all of your choices together. Between missions, you're managing your gang's camp, contributing supplies, interacting with other members, choosing how to spend your downtime. It is going to be a slower, more deliberate rhythm than most action games, as it's built around inhibiting the world rather than simply trying to rush through it. The camp itself evolves as the story moves forward too, both physically and socially. You'll notice small changes in how characters interact with each other depending on the story events and how much you've contributed. And there's also something pretty satisfying about walking through camp and recognizing how it's shifted since you last paid close attention to it. It is a small detail, but it's the kind of thing that rewards players who slow down and actually pay attention to the world around them rather than wanting to fast travel everywhere and every chance that they can get. There's also a full economy running underneath everything: hunting animals for pelts to sell or craft with, fishing, gathering herbs, robbing trains and stagecoaches for extra income. None of it actually is going to feel mandatory, but it's all there for players who want a deeper, more immersive relationship with the world beyond just the main story missions. There's also an honor system running underneath everything, tracking how you treat people, whether you help strangers or you decide to rob them, whether you play fair or play dirty. It doesn't just track a number, it's basically going to shift how the world and the story is going to respond to you over time, which is going to give you choices real weight without turning into a heavy handed morality meter. Now, I do want to talk about the world building and the atmosphere because it is generally the best part of the whole package when you break down Red Dead Redemption 2. This world doesn't just look good, it feels considered at every single level. The way light filters through trees at different times of the day, the way towns have their own economies and social dynamics, the way that random encounters on the road feel like genuine slices of frontier life rather than filler content designed to pad your playtime. There's a patience to how this world reveals itself too. You could ride from one town to another and just take in the scenery, and it would still feel like time well spent, purely just on that atmosphere alone. Very few games that I know of is going to trust the world enough to let you simply exist in it the way that this game does. I can also tell you the sound design is going to deserve some real credit here also. Ambient wildlife sounds, weather effects, the way music swells subtly during a good ride without ever feeling intrusive or forced. It's the kind of atmospheric craftsmanship that's easy to take for granted in the moment, but that you genuinely notice the absence of when you go back to a less carefully game world afterward. Now, I do love the characters, and Arthur Morgan himself is one of the best written protagonists in the genre, a genuinely complex character whose arc unfolds gradually across the whole story rather than through a handful of big, obvious moments. The writing trusts you to sit with quieter character beats, and the relationships within the gang feel earned rather than assumed. This will be a story that rewards patience in the same way the world does, and it is a big part of why so many people who finish the game end up thinking about it for years afterward. What's going to set this story apart from a lot of other big single player narratives is how it handles the passage of time. You are going to feel the world and the characters around Arthur shifting across dozens of hours, not through big scripted cutscenes alone, but through small cumulative changes in how people talk to him and each other. It is going to be a slow burn character study wrapped inside an action adventure game, and that combination is rare enough to be pretty special when you break it all down. Now, why this fits my single player mold, here's the part that ties this back to what this channel is actually about now. The core campaign is entirely single player. Now, there is a separate online multiplayer component called Red Dead Online, but it is going to be completely optional, distinct experience from the story that you're actually here for. You can play through the entire campaign, start to finish, without ever touching Red Dead Online. And I can tell you, once you're in that story, there's no live service pressure hanging over any of it. Save anywhere, step away for however long life demands, and pick it right back up exactly where you left off. No login streaks, no seasonal content ticking away without you. That's the same core value proposition that's made every other pick on this channel worth recommending. It is just wrapped around a considerably way bigger world this time around. Now, let me be straight with everybody, same as always. This game does move slowly, and I mean that in a very literal sense as much as a pacing sense. Movement, especially around camp, is deliberately weighty and realistic. Arthur doesn't sprint everywhere. Animations for basic interactions are going to take real time to play out, and if you're coming from a faster, more responsive action game, the early hours can feel pretty sluggish before you adjust to the rhythm the game is actually going to put in front of you. That to me is a real honest consideration for a busy schedule specifically. This isn't going to be a game you can dip into for 15 minutes and feel like you made meaningful progress most of the time. Missions are going to run long, and the deliberate pacing means you're investing real chunks of time to get anywhere through the game. If your available sessions are consistently short and interrupted, this is going to be a much slower, more frustrating experience than something built around a tighter, bite sized missions. There's also a genuine length concern worth naming honestly. 50 to 60 hours for the main story alone is a serious commitment, and if you're the kind of busy gamer this channel is built for, that's not a weekend project. That's going to be a months long relationship with one game. It's an incredible use of that time if you can give it, but it's fair to ask yourself honestly whether you actually have that much time to give right now, or whether this is better saved for a season of life with a bit more room in it. I also want to flag that this isn't a game that rewards playing in short, scattered bursts nearly as well as some of the other titles I've covered, because the story and the world reward paying close attention. Hopping in for 5 or 10 minutes at a time and immediately hopping back out tends to lose some of the immersion that makes this game so special in the first place. You'll get more out of it with fewer, longer sessions than lots of very short ones, which I can tell you is worth knowing if your schedule tends to fragment into small windows rather than occasional bigger blocks. One more honest note for everybody: some missions are more scripted and restrictive than the open world framing is going to suggest, with fairly rigid fail conditions if you stray too far from the intended path during a story mission. It's not as consistently freeform as the world around it implies, and that is an occasional friction between open world and linear mission design, and it's something that I would like to call out as you go into the game. So it is that time of the review, and let's go ahead and talk about the verdict. Red Dead Redemption 2, I can tell you right now, is one of the finest single player experiences available and that's out on the market. It has extraordinary world building, one of the best protagonists in gaming, and a story that's going to earn every hour it asks of you. Now, I can tell you on the other side, it is going to ask for a lot of hours, and the deliberate slow pacing is a real consideration if your available time is limited and unpredictable. So let's talk about my honest recommendation. If you can carve out sustained time for this game, even if it's just maybe a consistent weekly session rather than a daily push, this game is absolutely worth the investment. But if your schedule right now is a little too fragmented for a 50-hour plus commitment, it is completely fair to set it to the side for a season when you've got more room rather than trying to rush through something built to be played very slowly. I got to point out, this is not a marathon. It's more of kind of a walk run, and this game absolutely deserves to be played that way so you can enjoy it. Now, as with myself, if you're a busy gamer trying to figure out which single player games are actually going to be worth your time, subscribe as new honest verdicts every Tuesday and Saturday. Let me know down in the comments. Have you finished the story? Is Arthur still out there somewhere in your save file? Either way, remember everyone, hit F5, reset, reload. I am F5 Dad, and I'll see you on the next video.